Friends of the E-Team.
Hey, look at that. We're live.
Back at her.
Hey, where are you? Like, you just sitting at work, or where are you?
Well, I'm actually at the CPCA's Lloyd Finals tarp sale, hosted in Lloyd Minster. So it's 5 miles from my house, so I decided to pop in and kind of do a little impromptu podcast.
An impromptu podcast, and you're probably there signing autographs and getting out of changing diapers.
Too washed up. I'm washed. I'm old news. These guys are way cooler than me. Way cooler.
The badass rainbow. Everyone pop over to the truck, get an autograph.
Yeah.
32.5.
Well, we're excited. You can keep us updated. What are guys selling for so far? Do you have any of it documented?
The top 9 or 8 that I got written down so far, because it just started at 7, so they did introductions and then started selling. And Todd Baptiste, 27,000 for the finals. So
big dollars.
Jumped down to Mitswing. He was 9,000. Jamie Labacane, 12,000. Brad McMahon, 5,500. BJ Carey, 5,000. Danny Ranget, 12,000. Barry Hodgson, 11,000. Dallas Stick, 11,000. And DJ King was in that 11.5 range. So guys that had their sponsors lined up and did their homework, they're selling. There's still another 23, 24 drivers to go, so I'm sure that'll dwindle down here. But potentially the guys that didn't get to sponsor last year saved their money and wanted to come back and have some fun. So looks good.
That's good. You can keep us updated throughout the show. I think what's funny is I've had a lot of people comment on story time with Ray. So I think this is going to become the real thing. And a big thank you first and foremost to our friends at Cinch Oilfield Hauling, along with Limelight Audio and Media. Cinch Oilfield Hauling, our premier sponsor here on Let's Talk Chuckwagons. And you know what? Story time with Ray, brought to us by our friends at Highwood Distillers. And this is kind of a Highwood story, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So a part of it was it'll tie when our relationship with Highwood and Michael Nytruck and all the guys there kind of first was created like years ago. So it was in High River, Alberta, and Highwood Distillers bought me at a tarp sale there, and I kind of my first couple of years on the tour and didn't have many sponsors or people lined up, and just showed up, and I was lucky enough for them to grab me. And then they have a distillery, they produce alcohol, and a lot of it's very good to consume and a lot of fun. So they brought over a big box of a mixture of all the things that they make, right? So anyways, we got into that a little bit the one day, and then the one night after the races we ended up going down to what was that bar called along the river?
The Roadhouse.
River Roadhouse, yeah. So this was back when Jim Barry was just starting his bronc career. He was riding novice in the pro, and he was traveling with me quite a bit, and he had lived with me for a couple winters, and we were working in the oil field and stuff like that. And then anyways, we ended up out at this bar, and we're playing pool, and like Jerry Bremner's there, and like Jerry's probably one of the most competitive pool players you can find in Alberta at any rodeo or any bar type atmosphere with cowboys involved, and Colt and Colt Cosgrave, and I don't know, there's a bunch of us all there having a whole bunch of fun. Anyways, end of the night, we're just smarter than we were before and had too much to drink and had too much fun. And the River Roadhouse had these 50-gallon drums full of peanuts, so you could just get a bowl of peanuts and go shell them out wherever you're sitting. So we come up with this idea we should steal this 50-gallon drum of peanuts. So
because you were brilliant at that point of the night.
Oh yeah, we were smart. Like we were quick, and nobody was going to catch us. So anyways, we get this barrel. Truck pulls up to the front door. There's people in the back because it's only like a couple kilometers from the bar to where the rodeo grounds were, right? So we chuck this barrel in the back, and we're off to the races. Think we're just the best people ever, right? So we get there, obviously have a couple more nightcaps, and we're eating these peanuts, and there's shells all around. It wasn't my camper. It was the guy next to me, and I can't remember at the time. Anyways,
Incorporated, Race Free Incorporated. Thank you.
Didn't
very
put too much
to
thought
Race Free
into it, right?
Incorporated.
Well, they're definitely going to come follow the peanut trail. So we're sitting around the camper the next morning, and we're
to the Chuckwagons.
having some pancakes,
Next on stage,
and
please
we
welcome
dip
Preston
into
Faithful.
the maple syrup. And well, we didn't have any maple syrup, but we had maple whiskey.
All right. Here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now, buddy. We kind of lost you there when you were talking about a couple nightcaps.
Yeah, so we had a couple nightcaps, had some peanuts, and went to bed. And the next morning we did chores and got up, and we realized we didn't have any maple syrup. So we dove into the box from Highwood Distillers and found some maple whiskey in there. So we decided to sprinkle a little maple whiskey on our pancakes. And we're eating our pancakes sitting there, and all of a sudden truck pulls up and he's like, "Can we have our barrel of peanuts back?" Dang it. Yeah, absolutely. We'll help load it too. So anyways, they were cool. They didn't give us, or didn't bring the cops, or didn't, put us in jail or ban us from the bar. They just nicely asked for their barrel of peanuts back, and away we went.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, thanks for story time. I think that is yeah, I can see you guys doing it too. And I mean, evidence all over the ground, peanut shells everywhere. And I mean,
well,
what the hell? You're
23, 22, 23 years old, and like basically just a bunch of kids, right? Racing wagons, turned loose. My dad turned me loose with a liner and a semi and a camper and truck, and give me everything. And I owned maybe 3 or 4 horses, so it was bound to have a couple nights like that.
There we go.
Exactly. Now, it's been kind of one of those weeks. You're at the Lloyd X Finals, which, it's great. They're having a tarp sale. We got to catch up with Greg Buchanan a couple weeks ago. But right now, things maybe on the other side of the fence in the WPCA, as far as the drivers go, aren't looking quite as rosy, if you will.
Yeah,
what do you hear from the guys there?
Well, I talked to Troy Dorchester quite a bit. He's a good friend of mine and good buddy, and we've always kept in touch, regardless if I was racing or not. So, with Grand Prairie canceling and Saskatoon canceling and different shows like Medicine Hat postponing and pushing their dates back, Calgary obviously canceling, and just a lot of uncertainty. And then there's opportunity for guys to go to work, and they're trying to weigh the balance and decide what's going to get them through the season, right? So from what I hear, Troy's decided to turn out for the year and just go to work. There's a bunch of movies that he's a wrangler on and does a lot of work with John Scott. And Jason Glass did the same thing. He's got a good opportunity to go do some stunts and make some money. So they're headed that direction. John Walters sold his liner and all his horses, so he's decided to retire. Kirk Sutherland sounds like he's going to come and run in Dewberry just because horses are ready, and then he's going to try to sell a bunch of horses as well. That being said, there's a short lineup that has moved from the WPCA over to the CPCA to come join this circuit. Logan Gorse being one of them. He had an employment change. Used to work up for Synovus up at Foster Creek and Christina Lake. Ended up getting a job offer local to Meadow Lake, and he's able to be home. But kind of conditions were that he, we'll let you race a wagon, but it's got to be in the CPCA. So he's decided to make the move over. Luke Turney has made the move. Ross Knights signed up and made the move. So a lot of these guys are coming back to where they started. It's kind of, in a way, it's exciting, right? Because they're fan favorites from the area, and they're good wagon drivers, right? So it's going to add a lot of quality to the show, a lot of competition, and then I think some added value to potentially the board and the direction the CPCA is going to go. So,
that's great. It's sad to hear that guys like Troy and Jason that turn out when you look at two names in Chuckwagon racing, Dorchester and Glass are those are names you heard at the beginning of time. So
yeah,
it's not good to hear that, but they got to do what's best for them.
Exactly, and you know, everybody has bills. So at the end of the day, we all got to pay our bills. Doesn't matter if it's you or me or a wagon driver or a rig guy or a farmer, whatever. So lucky enough, they have opportunity to go to work on these movies, and the movie business is booming right now because basically throughout COVID, so much content has been watched. Netflix and all these places are begging for new content to put on their sites, right? And new movies to be produced and released and stuff like that. So Dorchester, he made it really clear that he was really on the fence about it. He's raced at Ponoka Stampede since he was 14 years old. He raced pony wagons there and carts, and then got into the big wagons. And he said, like, if they postpone and they end up running, I'm going to be pretty choked about it. So, we'll see how it plays out, right? So we'll just go from there.
I got an idea. We should have Troy on here next week. Bring him on, and Troy, he's never short on words.
No, and he's a character. He's entertaining, and hopefully he can be just be himself, and be the guy I know, and just have a bullshit, and everybody get to meet a little part of Troy. But it's pretty well known, his character and his humor and stuff like that. So I got a good story.
We'll put one light on that and we'll make sure that. Well, that'll be next week's story. We'll do Troy Door.
Absolutely. Yep.
All in. All done.
Ray's coming back. Technology is not always friendly to us. There's Ray. So here's a question for you, Ray. We're moving into that time where some of these drivers, obviously we can hear the auction going on behind you. Where do you settle down and set in and find out which outriders am I going to pick to race, and kind of how does that transpire?
How you doing?
Typically, like for a new driver, it's kind of a crapshoot. You just, you get signed up into the tour, the race circuit, and then it's get to know who's out there and who's available. You get into the later heats where competition's pretty stiff, and I'll use Kirk Sutherland for an example. He's pretty famous for basically he'd buy 2 outriders for the season, so you'd pay him a very lucrative rate. They would commit to him for the entire season, regardless of who he was hooked with, and no matter what, he knew he had. For years and years, it was like for Kelly. Kelly did the same thing, but Kelly had Chance Vegan and Rio King. So I knew that Chance is my cousin, and if I got hooked with Kelly, I couldn't get my cousin to ride for me, right? So, and from there, the outriders typically that'd be their first call, and then they'd try to, jump down a heat or two and sell their second call, and they're trying to get as much money as they can for every ride, right? So they're trying to sell and promote themselves based on the standings and how competitive they are and how reliable mainly is the biggest thing, right? So if you're a reliable outrider, you're typically never going to get any penalties. You're always there. You know how to run, chase a wagon when it's a track record or win a dash or cash, right? So I got pretty lucky through my career. I had a lot of good guys, and then I was able to get Chad Fike early in his career, and Darcy Flatt I think was the first guy to start Chad, and Chad I think I was his second call, and Darcy was in some of the lower heats, so Chad was an exceptional rider right from day one and had no issues. And, there's another way of being able to secure a good outrider is being able to get one of those young kids that come in and they're really good, and then they're thankful and they appreciate it. And they commit to you and just carry on like that. So it's 2,500. When I got into Calgary, I think I was in my early 20s, 23, 24. I had a couple of years where I made some big runs and got hooked in with the big dogs there, and I kind of got left the scraps, and that's what cost me in the end. Outrider penalties and things like that. I was running in the last heat, and I was 24 years old, and I was leading the aggregate, and it was day 7. So I had to go off the 4-barrel, have a clean run off the 1-barrel, which I was just really dominating off of, and I had like a 4 or 5 second lead. And once I did that, I was into the dash, so you could see, you know, it was the painting was on the wall, right? Like we're gonna get in the dash, and I'm 24 years old. Well, horn goes off of barrel 4. They missed the stove, missed the pegs, and it just a shit show went on, right? So I ended up not making the dash, and it was the outriders that cost me. And you know, not that I called the bottom of the barrel, but you know, I was riding guys that weren't the best, and we had 4 outriders, so it took, you know, 20, 25 outriders to put a show on that were competitive when we were running 4 outriders like that. So unfortunately,
here's a question for you. Of all the outriders, and I have a comment sitting in the inbox from an outrider. Of all the outriders you had, who was your favorite outrider?
$2,500.
That's an easy one. I'd be Chance Flad because he was such a good friend, right? So,
go, look what he said. Look what he said.
I never charged enough when I rode.
I guess I never charged enough.
Yeah. I owe Chance a lot of favors, I'll be honest. We traveled together, camped together, and we had a lot of fun. And you could have 100 head to hook in a day, and me and him would get it done, and we'd be played out at the end of the day, and the next day we'd be up raring to go again. So, you know, there's a guy you can go to war with and get stuff done and be ready to pick right up where you left off. So, yeah, he's a good driver, that bugger. Like, he don't give himself enough credit, but he's going to be a tough bugger. You watch.
Well, he's put in the miles already, if you think about it. When we talk about
touch on those outriders like that, so them young kids that I always said, you know, we thought our generation was tough or Kelly's generation was tough, but these kids that come and they would come spring train with drivers, and then they started jumping from, you know, my house to Kelly's to whichever, and they'd go ride horses. But then the whole time they were there, they're learning and watching how we do things and picking things that they like and adding it to their, you know, their little Chuckwagon dictionary. And you know, now you see like Chad Fight competitive and up in the standings, and Chance Flad having some day monies and running tough, right? Yeah, there's a long list of them, and I can't obviously think of them all right now. But you know, Jamie Labicane was an outrider too, and I don't know. They got to learn all our tricks because we were an open book when they were at our house because we wanted them to stay riding for us. So
now here's a question. I don't know if you can answer it or not without, you know, giving away too much. You get to race, you get to heat 8 or heat 9 at one of the big shows. What does it cost you to get an outrider for one heat?
I typically paid $125 a ride. Sometimes if we, you know, win a couple shows or got on a roll, then you'd give them a bonus and they'd keep with you. But you know, Kirk Sutherland and Kelly and them guys, they're paying, you know, $300 a ride. Paying attention, were they? Right, so they're kind of dwarfing everybody, but they knew what they were getting. They're getting the best. Yep. And then they were.
Who's jumping in with you?
DJ King's trying to jump in here.
Okay, well, let's bring him in.
Dwayne Antoine. I
didn't want it to be.
Hi, Dwayne.
Let's go on the fly.
How's it going? Good man. Right on.
DJ's getting in.
Where are we going to go here? They're having a good laugh about it.
How much did you sell for, DJ?
I think 10. Maybe a little bit more. I wasn't 100% sure.
I thought I caught you at 11.
Maybe 11. It's the Tate's Renegade. It's a group I've been with since I've started here pretty much, and we have a lot of fun, and we just keep on rolling there. So it's a great group to be part of, and if anyone wants to join it, just get a hold of Angel, and you can join our group for sure.
When you say a lot of fun, they got a band back at the Barns the one night, and like
we'll have just the boys there. They're gonna all get together again, and they'll be there on Friday night there at Lloyd Finals, and we shake it up pretty good.
Let their hair down.
Yeah.
14.5. Now 15, sir.
That's funny.
Now 5. 15.
No, it's going good. The sales seems like it's going really good. Everyone's trying to stay warm, so they're putting their hand up quite a bit. So it's the numbers are up.
Yeah, there's some rain clouds kind of rolling around here the entire time. So just hoping we can get through the races and follow the COVID rules or get through the sales, and follow the COVID rules and get everybody bought up and ready for the season.
Well, I'm going to ask you, Ray, have our friends from Cinch Oil Field Hauling, are they there this year, or is Cole just taking a break from?
Well, Cole's based out of Grand Prairie, so he don't do too much work around Lloydminster here, so I understand he's not sponsoring the wagon, but I've been bugging him to do some other stuff, maybe some TV or radio broadcasting and get his name out and maybe pick up some more trucking in this area. We'll see how it goes.
100%. You know who else you have to try and get in there is Luke.
Get Luke to come in for a visit here.
Yeah, get him to pop in for a visit. I don't know if you can track him down.
Well, if they're listening right now, they can go online there and they can just hit the button and they can bid away too online, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Now, something I forgot to mention, Ray, a couple of weeks ago, we had our question of the night. And our question of the night was, how many years had Greg Buchanan been with the CPCA? And our winner from a couple of weeks ago, and we'll make sure that some stuff gets sent out to her, was Donna Molly Franklin. So congratulations to her. She was our winner, so we'll make sure that she receives her promotional product from Cinch Oil. Yeah,
perfect.
That's awesome.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
How many years was
where are we at in the sale?
18 years.
18 years, yeah. I knew it was a lot. I wasn't sure 100%. So
up for auction next. You're bidding on the turf that belongs.
Sales starting to come down a little bit, but we're it's just par for the course when you get to the.
Yeah, and then I think
there's so many drivers, right? So
and then I think we're gonna finish strong here too. We got we're going through our rookie guys right now, so and then we're gonna finish off with the guys that come over there, our new memberships that bought memberships from the WPCA. So I'm sure they'll end in a bang for sure. I'm guessing. But
yeah, Ross Knight's from St. Walburg, so he's local.
Logan Gorris from Meadow Lake, Luke Tournier
from Duck Lake,
Ryan Baptiste and Lane Bremner. So I'm sure the sale will end with a bang.
It's tough when you're remote.
We freeze up on you again.
We'll see if we can't get that fixed. There, Ray's back.
There we go.
There we go. Hey, it's all good. We appreciate you being down there. You're kind of our man on the ground, if you will.
Yeah, I thought I'd come out and just catch the sale and try to catch a couple guys and just see how they're feeling about the season coming up. And I know a lot of guys have been, not sure what direction they're going, but they just continue to train and be hopeful. And the CPCA being mainly in Saskatchewan, or majority of it, is a little bit lenient laws, and comes to July, I think July 11th.
July 11th, we get to come back to full capacity there. So like Ray was saying, most of our venues here, we lucked out where we can almost be like a driving event, right? Like this, we had a little fun run there last weekend in Town Maker, and they were ripped right around the corners, both sides of the track. So there's the COVID rules in the grandstands, but everyone can drive and park in their vehicles and kind of have like a driving theater event there. So we luck out that way with our venues where we could still get the fans there, but they're just sitting in their car, just like they're going tailgating at a football game or something. So people are actually enjoying this atmosphere with that whole tailgating thing. So it's taken off pretty good.
That's awesome. I mean, it's great to see what you guys are doing there. Just give me 1 second here, Ray. I'm going to try and...
3,500.
Freezing up again.
We'll take 32.50. 32.
Here we go. That's better. I don't know. Wi-Fi. Someone way smarter than me figured it out.
Slows things down.
That's exactly it. So you're our man on the ground, and I guess tonight's question, brought to you by Cinch Oil Field Hauling, is
which tarp sale am I at?
All right. Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm excited. We're going to have Troy Dorchester on. Do you have one little tidbit, a Troy Dorchester story you could give us?
We stayed up too late. and we were just about late for a charity event, and he was looking for toothpaste.
42.
And what?
He was looking for toothpaste.
Yes.
4,500.
Yeah, and I think I'll be honest, he'll probably say I still owe you for that when we talk to him, so don't worry.
Well, we've got to save the end of that story, I guess, as Paul Harvey would say. You know, the rest of the story will happen next week.
Absolutely.
We're going to let you carry on and finish up the tarp sale. Good luck to everyone. Thank you for DJ King joining us here tonight. I know he's had a big impact on what's happening in the Lloyd X. Thanks for you joining us and taking your time while you're at the tarp sale and enjoying that. So,
yeah, hopefully it wasn't too annoying with the Wi-Fi cutting out and the auctioneer in the background, but it's part of the game. I thought I'd try to get down here and just enjoy the night and see some of the drivers and bring you guys along the way. So
I think it's awesome. We thank you so much, and you know what? I can't wait for next week. I get the feeling this is going to be a lot of fun. So, with that being said, friends, until next week, on behalf of Cinch Oilfield Hauling, Limelight Audio Media, and Highwood Distillers, do us a favor. Drink responsibly, drive safe, give your kids a hug. God bless. We'll catch up with you next Tuesday, Ray.
all right, sounds great.